Prichard Colón's memorial doors are open right now, and inside Winter Park, Florida, family and strangers alike are standing before the same simple words his loved ones chose to say goodbye to him with, words that read, "Your life was a blessing, your memory a treasure, you are loved beyond words and missed beyond measure." That single line, printed on the memorial card guiding this week's services, tells you almost everything about the tone his family wanted to set for this final farewell, not one built on tragedy, but on love that outlasted 11 years of unimaginable difficulty. Colón passed away on August 13th at just 33 years old, and the services his family arranged to honor him unfolded across 2 deliberate days, each one carrying its own kind of weight. The first, a public viewing held Tuesday, August 18th, from 4:30 in the afternoon until 8 that evening at newcomer cremations, funerals and receptions in Winter Park, opened the doors to anyone who wanted to pay their respects in person, whether they'd followed Prichard's story for over a decade or were only just learning his name. It's the kind of gathering that blurs the line between public tribute and private grief, where fans who never met him stand shoulder to shoulder with the family who lived every single day of his 11-year fight alongside him. The second day, Wednesday, August 19th, brings the funeral service itself, set to begin at 11 in the morning at that same Winter Park chapel, before Prichard is laid to rest that afternoon at Glen Haven Memorial Park, just a few miles from where he grew up. And that detail alone carries its own quiet significance, because Prichard wasn't just a name people came to know because of a boxing headline. He was a hometown fighter, born and raised in that very community, someone whose journey from a promising 16-0 record with 13 knockouts to a national symbol of endurance played out in front of the same people now preparing to bury him. The memorial materials close with another line that seems to sum up exactly how his family wants him remembered, calling him simply a beloved son, brother and friend, and promising that his light will never fade, a sentiment that feels less like a formality and more like a vow. What makes this farewell resonate so deeply across the boxing world isn't just the loss itself, it's the 11 years that came before it. Prichard's story began on October 17, 2015, in Fairfax, Virginia, during a bout against Terrell Williams that should have been just another step in a rising career. Instead, he suffered a serious brain injury during that fight, one severe enough to require emergency surgery, and what followed was a battle that stretched on far longer than anyone could have prepared for, ultimately defining more of his life than the boxing career that came before it. In the days since his passing was confirmed, tributes have poured in from every corner of the sport that once celebrated him as one of its brightest young talents. The World Boxing Organization publicly honored his resilience, choosing words that reflected not just his skill in the ring, but the extraordinary strength he and his family showed in the years that followed his injury. That recognition wasn't new either. Back in 2021, the World Boxing Council had already named him an honorary champion, a title that had nothing to do with a belt or a decision, but everything to do with what he'd come to represent to fighters who understood just how quickly everything can change. Even voices from far outside the boxing world found their way into this outpouring of grief. Grammy-winning artist Bad Bunny, writing under his given name, published a heartfelt letter honoring Prichard's memory in El Nuevo Dia, a tribute that reached readers across Puerto Rico and beyond, proof of just how far this story traveled from the ring where it began. As Wednesday's service approaches, there's a sense that this farewell will carry more than sadness. It will carry the collective memory of a fighter whose name became permanently attached to change within his sport, remembered every time officials cite the zero-tolerance policy against illegal blows to the back of the head that now bears an unofficial connection to his case, a policy meant to protect every fighter who steps into a ring after him. For his family, though, none of that history will matter as much as the person they're actually saying goodbye to this week. Not the case study, not the headline, not the symbol, but Prichard himself, the son and brother they cared for every single day of those 11 years, long after the cameras and the crowds moved on to other stories. As mourners gather under that Florida sky this week, some for the viewing, others for Wednesday's service and the burial that follows, what's clear is that this isn't just an ending. It's the boxing community's chance to finally say, together and out loud, everything they'd carried quietly for over a decade, a thank you for the fight he showed in the ring, and an even deeper thank you for the fight he and his family showed everyone watching, long after that fight was ever supposed to end.